The morning sunlight spilled across the courtyard in golden streams, filtering through the fledgling leaves of an ancient oak that stood sentinel near the main entrance. Its branches cast a network of shifting shadows on the cracked concrete, where students wove between one another like currents in a restless river. Thorne moved among them, her slender frame swallowed by the folds of an oversized charcoal sweater that belonged more to a season past than to the warmth of this summer-inflected morning. She kept her gaze fixed on the ground, where the pale tips of her scuffed sneakers traced a familiar and safe path across the unforgiving terrain. Each footstep was a silent prayer, a wish to remain unseen as she made her way toward the high school's brick facade. Her dark hair, straight and heavy, formed a curtain that both concealed and defined her, an impenetrable barrier between her inner world and the chaos that thrummed around her. Since transferring from Portland, Oregon at the start of junior year, she had perfected the art of invisibility. In classrooms, in hallways, even in the cafeteria, she moved like a phantom, her presence noted only in the quiet stir of displaced air. The rhythm of her grandmother's voice echoed through her mind in gentle Korean. Like bamboo? Granddaughter, bend so you do not break. She clung to that lesson each morning: bend, but do not break, even as her spine threatened to curve under the relentless pressure of isolation. As she approached the gymnasium entrance, a familiar ripple of voices drew her attention. There, in a cluster of pristine letterman jackets, stood Bryce Kellerman, his broad shoulders squared like the prow of a ship, flanked by his lieutenants, Jake Morrison and Tyler Banks. Each of them exuded confidence born of wealth, athletic prowess, and the tacit protection of influential parents. Bryce's pale blue eyes locked onto her, and she felt the familiar thrum of dread as his lips curved into a smile that never reached his eyes. He beckoned with a single finger, calling her the nickname he'd invented just for her. "Hey, skeleton girl!" The epithet was designed to reduce her to nothing more than her protruding collarbones, her slight weight. Laughter followed as she quickened her pace, hoping to slip past the trio. But Jake and Tyler fell into step on either side of her, and the hallway's hum crescendoed into malicious harmony. Jake's red-haired, freckled face held a taunting grin. "Did you eat anything today, or are you still surviving on air and sadness?" Tyler joined in, his laughter resonating like percussion. "Advanced disappearing class at noon, heard your ace at it." Ka's heart ricocheted in her chest, but she tried to remain composed. She tilted her chin down, tracing the locker's metallic surface with her eyes, and repeated, "I'm fine. Please let me pass." Yet they persisted, smirking and blocking her escape. Bryce leaned closer, his voice low enough for only her to hear. "I bet I could lift you with one hand. How's that for strength?" He stretched out an arm as though to demonstrate, and Kay's breath caught when his fingers brushed the fabric of her sweater. The sound of her books spilling to the floor was swallowed by the roar of voices. Around them, a ring of spectators formed, drawn by the spectacle they had learned to anticipate daily. Somewhere, a teacher's heels clicked past, her gaze trained ahead, eyes deliberately averted from the cruelty unfolding. Ka forced herself to swallow the lump in her throat and stooped to gather her belongings. She wove together shreds of her grandmother's teachings and her own years of Taekwondo, practiced to maintain a stillness that masked the storm of emotion roiling within her. She trudged on, shoulders bent under the weight of humiliation, until she slipped through the double doors into the sanctuary of the library. The fluorescent lights were dimmer here, the air cooler, perfumed faintly with aged paper and dust. She retroceded to the far corner where the tall reference shelves formed a fortress of knowledge. Mr. Peterson, the librarian, glanced up from his desk and offered a small nod of sympathy. With a soft rustle, Fa unloaded her belongings onto a narrow table. The textbooks formed a barrier, the hum of fluorescent lights transformed into a muted lull, and for a moment she allowed herself to breathe. She sank into the chair and keyed her phone, scrolling through messages from her best friend back home. The faces on the screen laughed together in rain-soaked Portland streets, in oak-paneled coffee shops and sunlit parks where the scent of pine lingered in the air. Each photo was a reminder of what she had lost, a history of shared jokes, of secrets traded over steaming mugs, of inside memories that no longer belonged to her. A soft cough pulled her back to reality. Looking up, she saw Emma Rodriguez, a classmate from advanced chemistry. Warm brown eyes, curly hair pulled into a messy bun, and an easy confidence that Ka had never summoned the courage to cultivate. "Mind if I sit?" Emma asked, her voice quiet but steady. Ka nodded, surprised. "It's nothing I can't handle." Emma's eyebrows drew together in concern. Nobody should have to handle that alone. Ka's voice was small. "Telling a teacher won't help. They're careful to stay just inside the rules." Emma considered her, then shrugged gently. "Maybe, but staying quiet only makes them bolder." She offered Ka her sandwich. "Here. At least eat something." For the first time in days, Ka accepted. Chewing slowly, she allowed herself to relax fractionally, the tension in her shoulders melting like ice in sunlight. Over the next week, Emma claimed the seat beside her in chemistry, whispered solutions to tricky equations, and made Kay laugh with stories of her younger siblings' antics. Their friendship became a lifeline. But almost as swiftly as it formed, it drew Bryce's attention. In the hall, Bryce's voice cut through the air like a scalpel. "I didn't know anyone was desperate enough to hang out with Skeleton Girl," he sneered. "Maybe you two are perfect for each other." The laughter followed them down the corridor. Emma responded with a challenge that stunned Ka silent. "Go ahead, finish that thought," she said. "I dare you." Bryce's eyes narrowed. "Careful, Rodriguez. You don't want to make this worse." Emma's retort was measured, her tone even, but Kea saw the tension in her shoulders. "Make it worse? You think you're doing me harm?" "No." The crowd that usually cheered Bryce's jabs fell strangely silent. Emma's words had shattered the dynamic. She was no longer a passive witness, but an active participant. Bryce clenched his jaw, but his entourage's loyalty prevented him from striking back. In public, he needed the appearance of restraint. So after a last glare, he retreated, leaving Kay and Emma to their shocked, exhilarated calm. That night, Ka stared at the trophies hidden in her closet. Junior Olympic Taekwondo championships, black belt certificates, tournament wins across the past 5 years. She traced the gleaming porcelain and metal with her fingertips, recalling her grandmother's steady guidance, the countless hours of disciplined practice that had forged her body and mind. Her pose on the mat was more than technique. It was a testament to the promise her grandmother had imparted, strength tempered by restraint. Her phone buzzed. It was her grandmother? "Little flower," the warm voice said, "you sound troubled." Words tumbled out of Ka, the torment, Emma's bravery, Bryce's wounded pride. Her grandmother listened, then spoke. "You have never spoken of your training to anyone," she said. "True." It did not seem relevant. "Your restraint is a gift, but there comes a time when silence becomes complicity. When cruelty is allowed to flourish unchallenged. You must choose whether to bend or to stand." Ka held the phone away and exhaled. The dam of restraint trembled but did not break. In the morning, the courtyard shimmered with unseasonal heat. Rumors rippled through the student body about yesterday's confrontation. Ka approached the library to find Emma pale, dark circles under her eyes, her phone clutched like a shield. On the screen, a stream of invective anonymous threats, hacked images morphed to cruel effect. Harassment that had spread into Emma's home, her private space. Bryce's retaliation, indirect but vicious. Ka felt the weight of responsibility settle onto her shoulders like a mantle. When Bryce and his friends appeared at the library's entrance, they lacked the courage to enter, but their presence spoke volumes. Bryce's pale eyes met Ka's through the glass, and he mouthed a single word: "Soon." The promise of violence lingered in the charged air. Steeling herself, Ka slipped around the corner and rushed to Emma's side. "Are you okay?" Emma blinked back tears. "I can handle it," she lied. Ka placed a hand on her friend's shoulder. "You don't have to." Lunch passed in a haze of dread. Teachers sensed tension but looked away. Text messages pinged with anxious queries, shared nervous laughter. Yet nobody acted. Finally, Ka and Emma retreated behind the gym, where the heat radiated from sun-baked siding and the trees offered scant comfort. They chatted of weekend plans, movie marathons, study sessions, but the words rang hollow. A sudden ripple of laughter announced the arrival of Bryce's posse. They moved with predatory grace. Behind them trailed a crowd of onlookers, phones raised to record the spectacle. Jake's tone was saccharine. "We've been thinking about your little speech, Rodriguez. Inspiring stuff." Tyler leaned forward. "Really made us want to prove you wrong." Emma stood, jaw set. "I'm not afraid of you." Bryce's crimson lips parted in a mocking grin. "Maybe you should be." Ka stepped beside Emma. "Just leave us alone," she said, voice steadier than she felt.